Not wait until it happens and now you feel good.
Well, and look, and he may end up – there may be something that may have popped up at the field or something that he may not be able to come in. But
What, you don't think this guy would be here?
He's here. Look, I know what you do. Listen, Coach, this is Lloyd's fault. Lloyd is very nervous about this because his job's online.
You can only mess up so many times before you get yanked, Coach. And I'm not trying to do that to my guy.
Well, listen, without further ado, we appreciate you coming back on, Coach. Obviously, you finished practice. Y'all just coming out of a press conference. Probably a lot of the similar conversations that we're about to have. Y'all are coming off a 4-0 weekend to start the season. I think you saw a lot of things throughout the course. Obviously, on Sunday, you had a blowout game, but on Saturday and on Monday, you had two really tight games where I think you saw some relievers, at least I did, saw some relievers come out of the bullpen that I really wasn't expecting. Fidel Ulloa, I got it right, came out and seemed like he kind of set the world on fire, looked really good on Saturday, and looked even better on Monday. Speak about the bullpen. We knew it was going to be deep, but I think it's even deeper than people thought.
Yeah, good to see you guys. I think
let's go, Coach.
Great. I think does that work, Lloyd, or you just said
no, it works.
Happy to see you.
Yes, it works.
I thought he was a mute.
Yeah, Fidel was great. Sam Dutton was great. Justin Laura was great. Guidry was great. We talked about something that we really improved on last year at the end of the season is when you come into the game, getting the first guy out is the key. Like that, bringing you into the game to get that hitter out. And I think we went like 17 for 18 on that this weekend, which was outstanding, and really proud of those guys. We've talked them up as, potentially the strength of the team, and really feel like that showed this weekend.
Coach, you start the season off in kind of a unconventional schedule. You have 4-game series to start the season: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which you're not normally playing on Monday. And then you follow that up with another 4-game series against two teams going Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Was that kind of a strategic move for you, or is that something that just kind of fell the way it fell?
Yeah, no, we totally did that by design. I think it challenges your team early for sure, relative to maybe grinding through 4 days in a row. We tried to set up our preseason practice to get them used to playing 4 days in a row. I think they handled it really, really well. I think this year I did it for a couple of reasons. Knowing we were going to lose a lot off the 2023 team, I wanted to play as many games as we possibly could fit in before we started SEC play. I think the other reason is in the RPI, if you play teams twice as opposed to 3 times, if somebody has a tough year, it doesn't quite ding you as much, from an RPI standpoint. So having 4 teams are going to play twice, that's partly the design. But, mainly for our team, I think, playing the day games is basically just because the weather's better,
right.
Better for your pitchers. And I've learned that, through the first 2 years. And our crowd showed up. I mean, Friday was unbelievable. There was definitely more people here Friday than there was for the Oregon State Regional Championship game on Monday afternoon. So very thankful to the fans.
Coach, I'm not quite expecting you to have the answer yet this year, but it's kind of crazy. It seems like we're on year 3 talking about you being here already. How long does it take you? I've noticed how much you like to tinker with things. I won't even say tinker with things. It's obviously you got to know what you got, right? How long does it usually take you to have a really good feel on what you have player-wise and what this team is going to kind of shape into as the year goes along?
Yeah, I don't know that this particular team we're going to ever really be set. I think we have depth. I think the strength of the team is depth. And I think that we'll use that to create as many advantages for our team on that day as we possibly can, whether that's offense or defense, a lineup matchup that we like, a defender that we feel like we need in a certain spot because of a pitcher we're pitching. All those things come into play. So I don't see an end in sight to moving guys around, but that's only for the benefit of our team. Nice. There's more than 9 guys that can get the job done. And there's some good players that it's going to take them a little bit to get in. But I think you saw in that Sunday game, we were able to get most guys 3 at-bats, and those guys that came off the bench that didn't start the first 3 games were ready to roll. And so I like our depth, and we're going to kind of keep working through it. I don't have an end date in mind. Yesterday we practiced with the guys that didn't really start, and we had some pitchers that needed to pitch still, and basically played a simulated game with them yesterday and gave the guys that had played a lot the day off. And it's just a testament to the depth of the team, and I'm excited about that.
Coach, we got the text. We were texting a little bit yesterday, and you talked about how the recruiting class coming in wasn't large in numbers, but it was going to be big in impact. And I think you saw that through the course of the first weekend. A lot of the newcomers kind of showed out, right? Jake Brown came in as a pitcher, ends up starting in the outfield, plays right, has a game in center on Monday. He had 600 for the weekend. Stephen Milam comes off the bench, and I don't think a lot of people had a lot of conversation about him up until about 2 weeks leading up into the season. He comes out, puts together a bunch of professional at-bats. Mac Bingham had a really, really good weekend. And then Brady Neal, I don't want to call him a newcomer, but he was hurt for most of last year, comes out, hits the grand slam, looks really good behind the dish. And, I think that a lot of the maybe fans didn't expect some of these young guys to make as big of an impact as early as they are. Can you speak about the young guys and how proud you are of where they are and where the development they've had from the fall to now?
Yeah, it's been remarkable, and probably why some of it was a little bit of a surprise. And I've said this before on the show, probably like going from, in Steven's case, high school baseball in New Mexico to LSU baseball, that's like going to the moon. Like it's right. Like a massive jump. And, it's the same for all the freshman pitchers and position players. So sometimes it takes a little time to acclimate to what this requires. And then from those hitters' standpoint, you're facing Jump, Holman, Hurd, all these great relievers. They haven't seen pitching like that. And so it took a little bit of acclimating. It allows us to set a really good plan for them. And to those guys' credit, they all went home over the break, did what we asked them to do. And it was fun to watch this weekend, like checking the boxes of things that they needed to do for their personal improvement to be a better player, to contribute to winning. And a lot of guys are doing that right now. And that's not just the guys that got a little more time this weekend. Like Ryan Kucherak is going to be a great player here. Ashton Larson going to be a great player here. Zebradell had a double. And I mean, all those guys played good too. So there's a lot of depth to the position player thing. And I don't think I've had a group of position players improve as much from the end of the fall to the first day of the season as these guys. And we got to keep going on that path, but I'm really excited about it for this year and for the coming years.
Coach, when you talk about a jump from the moon, especially for kids coming from high school to get to this level of baseball, when you go out there that first weekend and you're able to see, obviously I think we could both sit here and say when it comes to coaching, if I'm going to sit here and coach strictly off results, I probably won't be coaching for long, right? So there's a process that you put into play that you kind of try to culminate as things go along. But when you come in and you have new kids that come in and have success right out of the chute, whether it's actually really good performance or the luck of the draw or the luck of how the ball falls or whatever, however it goes on, how do you go about continuing to coach up kids who get success right out of the gate?
Yeah, I think staying committed to teaching them the importance of preparation and the importance of their best effort towards executing what we need them to do to help the team win. In, let's just say, Milam's case, because we were talking about him, he has to have outstanding strike zone discipline. He has to master hitting a low line drive when he gets his pitch to hit. He has to play great defense. He has to run the bases smart and aggressive. And so all of his preparation and training should be geared towards those things. And the game, you guys know this, the game always wins, and it's going to get you at some point. Then it becomes, are you prepared to handle the adversity or failure and not let that derail you from what you need to do to execute on the next game? And so that's part of learning, that's part of growing. And, the complacency thing, I haven't sensed any of that with anybody around here all year. You would think of the returners, but those guys have had to fight just to get to the point that they're at, those young guys, and so far so good. I don't see that being a problem going forward.
Coach, before I get to the more of the pitching staff, because there's one particular guy I want to talk about, I want to highlight the catching position, because technically, if you really look at, this guy was a catcher in high school, you have 5 guys on your roster that can catch behind the dish. right? Jared Jones came in as a catcher. Ethan Fry came in as a catcher. And you played 3 with Travinsky, Milazzo, and Brady Neal, and all 3 played extremely well. The team you were playing last week, VMI, led the league in stolen bases. And they were 2 of 8 running against y'all. All 3 catchers threw guys out. It's kind of an embarrassment of riches behind the dish because that's one of the most important positions. How great is it to have that depth, and not only that depth, but that experience with Milazzo and Travinsky and that leadership behind the plate?
Yeah, we have the perfect storm right there. I don't ever saw a world where I thought Hayden and Alex would be back this year, when I first took the job here.
Right.
But I'm sure glad that they are. And, with Brady being the starter last year and then getting hurt, and then for those guys to step in and us not miss a beat, that tells you everything you need to know. And it's probably the only time in college baseball history where you had a team win a national championship with 3 different catchers starting 20 or more games. That's astounding. And then they're all back this year. And Josh Jordan, our recruiting coordinator, is also the catching coach. He does an exceptional job, and all of those guys are getting better. We had some success on the bases leading into the season, which a lot of that is the pitcher's fault and getting reacclimated to holding runners and those types of things. But, I kind of told Josh to challenge them to hey man, I'm not sure that you guys are what you're cracked up to be. And they challenge accepted this last weekend. So I liked that a lot.
Coach, the last guy on the mound that I want to talk about, and then I'm going to let Lloyd speak, and I'm going to take the muzzle off of Lloyd for a little bit.
It's not a muzzle, Coach. It's just over here work. That's all it is.
He's
hard
working.
Work.
Believe it or not.
One pitch at a time.
Believe it or not. For me, watching, there's a lot of guys that I wanted to see. I knew the guys returning, and I was expecting what I saw, but I wanted to see some of the new guys. And one of the guys that kind of really stuck out for me was Cade Anderson. And you started him on Monday, and he was a very highly touted pitcher coming out of Louisiana. And the way he kind of handled himself with the poise that he had and the stuff that he had, I think he was mid-90s from the left side with a Clayton Kershaw-esque type of breaking ball. And it just seems like he was in total control, and I think that's what impressed me more so than really the stuff. Can you talk about his development and how excited you were that you got him on campus? Obviously, he had an injury in high school, and he didn't seem like he was going to be here, and he ended up coming here, and how good he can be and how good he has been, early in the year.
Yeah, we were lucky, in my opinion. I think we would have really fought the 2023 draft hard had Cade been healthy and pitched during his senior year. And I remember when he and his dad called me and said, "You're going to get Tommy John surgery." And, the first thought in my mind was that's a tough break for him, but it might be a good break for us, because he might get bypassed in the draft. And boy, that was a big deal for us. And I knew it kind of all along. I just wanted to allow him to recover at the pace that he needed to, given when the injury was and when he had surgery. He's had almost a 2-year ramp up to getting back in a game. And I think with Tommy John, if you can have that, it gives you a great chance to be successful. And then he did a nice job in the fall. Him and Coach Yeski have a good working rapport right now. And he was in there today for 35, 45 minutes and breaking down the outing and things to get on the books to do for this week. And you love to see that. Guy has a great outing, and it's what's next? How do I get better? And he's got the internal part of it to be really, really good, and very, very thankful that he's here.
Coach, now don't take this as me questioning the way you coach.
This is
legit a question, curiosity in my mind. When you have a team that is so deep, like this one is, you literally just talked about the depth being the strength of this team, is there ever a time where you do or you feel like you will catch yourself saying all right, I got to put the brakes on how I want to try to deploy and use these tools and where to use them and how to use them? Or how do you deal with kind of using that kind of, toolbox, if you will?
Yeah, I think it's honestly, I'll speak to the position player side of it. It's one of the hardest things I have to do right now. It takes me a long time to set the lineup. And, I think it's a great problem to have, right. But I go through it with a fine-tooth comb for what's best for that day to help us win. But knowing, I need to look at all options to be, fair to the process of this thing. And on the pitching side, it's just doing homework and, I'll use your word, deploying them at the right time of the game. And there's a lot of options there too. So that's why recruiting is so important. That's why development is so important. And then making sure they understand what you need them to do to help the team win. And there's guys like I want to get more at-bats for, period. And there's guys that I want to get more innings for. And, I think those things work themselves out. But it's a good challenge is what I would call it to try to figure it all out.
Coach, there's obviously you've had a lot of success with some mustachioed men on your squad. Well, now you had obviously Dravinsky. Now you have Fidel. Is there a chance you join the ranks and the leagues of the mustache? if you ever need to, hey, the door's always open. I've been doing it a long time. You're more than welcome to join the team, Coach.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
No. Yeah. Listen. This is not a slight. I'm not a mustache guy. It doesn't seem like that's a mustache. Is the look that he, I just
could you if you needed to.
We'll leave that to Lloyd and Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck. By the way, Tom Selleck almost made a hole in the scoreboard, and that we looked at his swing. We don't break him down, but we kind of talked through some of the good swings, and boy, he looks like he's kind of in midseason form right now in the way he's swinging the bat, because that pitch that he had was down at his knees and he went off the scoreboard. And so it's that's exciting for him to get off to a good start, obviously, in his last year. And offense is going to look a little differently, right, than it did last year. Like last year, you had home run after home run after home run, and I think runs are going to be scored a little differently this year. I mean, you are going to hit some balls out of the ballpark, no doubt. But can you talk about a little bit how the different mentality at the plate and kind of how these guys are going to have to adjust on, okay, we're going to have to manufacture something. We're going to have to drive some balls in the gap. We're going to have to take some extra bases, more so than y'all really did last year.
Yeah, I mean, that everything you just explained is how I built my coaching career, honestly. It was a completely different style of baseball. I'm going to do what I think we need to do to win. Right. And I think it's what I would call this year a balanced attack, because I do think we have power. I think we had a lot of extra base hits this weekend, and I think it's good to have more than one way to win a game. And I think that's what you're going to see in terms of how we operate this year.
Coach, I appreciate you, as always, coming on our show. I'm glad we were able to get our technical difficulties figured out. Lloyd has been amazing. He's been producing, doing his job. That's just a great thing for us, great thing for you. Enjoy the rest of this evening. Looking forward to this weekend. I'll be at the game on Friday. Good luck, and we'll talk to you again here soon.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Back in the starting nine, Coach.
You're
it
in
feels
there.
Great.
You're
Feels great.
You're in there.